Pencil power. Why, hello there, art venturers, and welcome to the first episode of Sketch Practice Diaries. I'm going to be using structure to do some gesture drawings, and it's going to be really simple. And I want to show you guys just kind of my process of how I like to do gesture drawings, and I think it's really easy and can help you explore poses and proportions and things like that in a very uh, basic, kind of easy to understand way. So this isn't like a formal tutorial. I'm gonna kind of take it easy, be casual, and just play around. But I'll show you what I do for the structure here in just a moment. I'm just kind of warming up. Let's do a female one, and I'll show you the difference of what I mean by using structure to get the gesture, and how I really like to experiment kind of randomly almost to start to get these ideas and to cook up some ideas. Like here I might just start with two hands and throw a body shape in here and then connect them and see, okay, this looks like maybe he's doing some fencing. And then I'll kind of adjust based on kind of the random prompts almost of where the hands and the torso was placed. So yeah, so what is the basic structure that I'm using? The basic, very simplified structure. So there's a male and female one. The male one's got this kind of a shape. It's a little bit of like a bean shape, where the top is larger than the bottom. And then, putting the head, and literally just two lines, or they can be they can be slightly tapered, circles for the hands, and then again, two tapered lines for the feet. Sometimes I'll go a little further, but this is basically it. You can do a lot with that. And then for the female ones, I tend to do two separate pieces, so kind of like a circle for the hips, and then this kind of a diamond shape that would kind of keep going up like that, but basically coming out for the hips are going to be a little bit wider than the upper body. We'll put in the arms and stuff like that in the same way. See, these are actually, I start these a little bit wider for the female ones. I don't know why it seems to work well like that. And that's it. From those two, I'll experiment with all sorts of things. And I've always had an issue with the action line. I don't really understand how it's supposed to work. I guess it can help, so sometimes I'll mess around with it like that. But again, I don't okay, so this could be the arm, but that's not how a punch looks. That's crazy. It looks like something, I don't know, like a disco move. But using the action lines and stuff, I've seen that a lot in gesture drawing tutorials, and I don't quite understand it fully. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily use it all the time. And so see, sometimes I'll break up the knees and the what's it called? Calf, bottom leg area differently. What if the hand's on the knees? I don't know why. Okay, maybe he got shot in the knee with an arrow. Ow. In that case, I might have him looking down. See, so then I might adjust things like that. Cool. And it's really about experimenting. So once you've got these two things, I usually start with the torso. So you can start with any torso shape. Let's put it more sideways. So this is where the head's going to be somewhere around here. But so let's maybe just put the head here and the arms leaning over, right? Some kind of exercise. Here's the hand. So you don't really need to worry about when you do foreshortening, in this gesture area, you don't have to worry too much. You just kind of say, okay, there's the hand. And then it's okay, where would the feet go to actually make this figure balance? This foot has to be way over here. And then okay, cool, that actually looks like a balanced figure doing something. Maybe, arcing the back. So this can be two ways. Either he's looking this way, and he's kind of maybe reaching for something. I don't know. Just do that. And then maybe put the legs like this. Or the same sort of shape could be, this is the chest's out. So he's I don't know, just very proud. He's taking a selfie with a elephant, like there's an elephant here. And he's leaning back to take a selfie with it. I don't know. That could be. So it's kind of fun to like start with a random pose and then see what it turns into. You could have them laying down. So this one could be someone laying down. Let's put his feet up. He's lounging and like reading a book. So put the hand and then kind of figure out where the thing is. So a couple little tips is I like to often do the torso and then either the head or the hands. So from this torso, let's say I want the head, like I know you can put these lines if you want to show which direction the head is looking, but I don't even like to do that because you can kind of imply that based on other stuff. So here, if this guy's looking at his phone, now you can already tell he's looking this way without those lines. So I kind of like to experiment like that. And then another thing is to like try to get a sense for the balance, you know, without having to like necessarily draw a plumb line or like really methodically figure out how to get the figure balanced. Doing a lot of these quick ones, I feel like you start to get a sense for it. And then you can also start to do things like, all right, let's have the bean like bent over, right? So it's really folded over. One trick for that is that the head will be like overlapping. So even if it's like looking forward, it's kind of squished. Here's the head overlapping. So that's another kind of pose you can play with the thing kind of leaning forward. And so this guy, maybe he's on his computer and he has really bad posture, right? And then let's have him sitting. So let's try that. Okay, cool. So there, yeah. So we're really just messing around with different poses. Let's do a couple more male ones to fill up this page, and then do some female ones, but we can like mix them up. Okay, so let's do an upside down one. So imagine this is happening, and like I guess he's standing on his hands doing some breakdancing, right? And he could even be reaching out to his foot. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, this is the kind of thing that I like to do to practice gesture drawing. I feel like this is the method that has helped me the most to get an idea of how to get the figures in different poses without worrying too much and without using reference. Of course, reference setting from reference is going to be highly valuable. I guess I'll keep these in case I want to go back and get some ideas. But you definitely don't need to if you want to, if you use this method, or you don't need to like, it's not the only way, I guess I should say. I think it is something that's important to do, but it's not the only way to start working with gestures. So this is like, you know, try doing some things with like the legs crossing. So, all right, let's work with female ones for now. So, so let's say I do kind of something straightforward, but what if I put this leg crossing over here? Okay, well now this one looks like it needs to be underneath. Okay, now we've got like some kind of, what, like ballet pose sort of thing, like a dancing pose. Another thing I can do is just to add the breasts for the females, like I just do like a line like that, because that'll give you the direction of the chest. If I was to put, you know, if you do this, and you have it like that, and then you put it, that's straightforward. Here you can see this chest is turning, even though this is still straightforward. And I don't know, maybe this is like a spear. Cool. Alright, whatever. It looks a little odd, but we, you know, these are really quick ones that we want to just keep moving and keep doing stuff. So let's try something really extreme. What if I really bend things like that? I don't even know if this will work. And that's part of the fun of it, is just to see like what's actually going to work. No, see, that's not working, but maybe if I do, okay, it's like some really weird kick, or like, oh, swinging on a rope, like that, like a Tarzan kind of vibe. I don't know, pretty weird. But you can really like get a sense of like, okay, how can I work with the figure? And you could even make it more extreme. Like, what if I make the hips wider? What's that going to do? These are the kind of things I do when I'm practicing. And I don't know, just put the hand out. That's weird. Maybe hitchhiking. Cool. Yeah, someone hitchhiking with big hips. Interesting. Um, so like, let's see, what else? What else? So another thing I like to do is to put the hands first, then put the body and be like, okay, how would these connect? Looks like, oh, okay, this looks like a farming thing. So maybe like that. Or this foot should be pointing forward like that. Something like that. That's pretty cool. Doing some farming or something like that, or raking the leaves. Let's do another one. Let's put one hand here and one hand here. And what about like that? Okay, what is that going to create? Oh, okay. Well, it looks more like it's side view to me. And if they're sitting down on like a motorcycle, I don't know how to draw a motorcycle off the top of my head. But, that's what that one's kind of looking like. Cool. And then for that, I might put, now I'm like, okay, well, let me experiment with that. What if, so it actually seems like the head should be more forward, right? Something like that. That seems more motorcycle-y to me. A little bit. And again, this is just to start to get a feel for things so that when you are trying to create a specific pose or you're working from reference, you'll already be like, okay, cool. And so if you want to work with gesture lines, you can just put a line in and just kind of see what happens. Okay. I don't know. I try not to overthink it. Oh, this one's like a circle of life. Okay, that actually looks like it's dangerous for the baby. Let's put the arms over. There we go. That's way less creepy. So it's interesting how such like small lines can really show a lot. Whether the arms were over or under, you can actually tell that. And another thing to do, like once you get a little bit, if you want to start to expand the anatomy a little bit, you can go ahead and do that and then start to get a feel for how that might look. Anatomy is a whole nother thing, so I won't talk too much about, the tips there or like, I don't know, it's more something you gotta take step by step. So I'll be doing a lot of videos on like the legs and the arms and everything, but just to give you an idea of how you can build off of this, if I wanted to put some clothes, and yeah, now we've already got like the basis for a more advanced drawing. It looks like she's on like a tightrope or something actually. So let's put the hands out like that. Cool, let's make another one. I think I'll do like one or two more pages. But I think at this point, if you're not already, you should be, drawing along and coming up with your own figures. And if you do post them somewhere, I'd love for you to leave a link so we can learn from each other. I'm curious what poses you end up doing. And so I'll start to do a little bit more like the next level of this, of what I would do. So that was the most like simple and basic, is just putting it in the way it is there. Now you can see you can start to indicate the curves of the chest. So this would be like, imagine this in 3D space like that. If you put a line in the middle, you already kind of get an idea of like, oh, that's the chest. And, you can start thinking also of overlapping. This is like some Dragon Ball Z power-up sort of thing. It's a little bit weird and extreme, but, it gets that idea. So let's say the figure from front view, the chest has this like slight up curve. And see, like even if you don't get the the things symmetrical or just right in these at this rough sketch stage, it still works out. So I give him like a sword, give him some props, a shield. And then the other thing is you can start to give him the underwear shape, which will indicate where the legs come out, and then the legs and the feet can be, the thighs come in like that, and then the calves come in afterwards, and then this area becomes like the knees basically. But I really kind of just almost like two spikes going into each other. That's like the simplest way, I think, to indicate the legs while still giving them some form. And if you want to give it a little more beef, make the outsides a little bit, you'll have the quadriceps out there. Cool. So let's also look at the side view. So the side view would this is if the chest is leaning, leaning back quite a bit, right? So it's still a bean, it's just a thinner bean. See? And it's not as exciting, I think, to do the side view ones, but it's good to keep in mind because, let's say you'll get an idea of where to put the arm, which arm is in front. You can indicate the shoulders is another one that's good to experiment with. So if you're going to put the next level, could be, it's just he's got a lantern, I don't know, and he's walking down the corridor. I actually find walking ones kind of tricky to get the balance in the movement there. There we go. See, that's you can see how little subtle adjustments. At first he looked unbalanced, and now it's okay, now he looks more balanced. So keeping in mind how much the form is turning in space. So let's do another random one. This one, he's got his hands on the ground. I'm not exactly sure where this is going. Okay. Maybe he's... So at first I had it so the chest was like this, facing forward, in which case he'd be I don't know, reaching for something. Reaching for the heavens, calling in some light, like a cleric or something who's calling in the power of his deity. Or if I had turned it the other way, if I put the shoulder here and this hand behind, now he's more looking down, right? So again, this is all just fun stuff to experiment with. So actually then the shoulder seems kind of high. Maybe I actually want the shoulder there. Let me erase these inside lines because they're throwing me off now. And I'm just kind of trying to get a feel for what is it, and then the head's even lower. This turns into the front leg, so everything's turned to the side now. Right? Maybe he's looking at a tiny fairy in a mushroom. He's like, what is that? He's like, oh, hello there. You can still have a necklace. Maybe he's showing the necklace to this creature, right? I don't know. And let's okay, let's do some sitting down poses now that I'm thinking about it. So here I've got the pelvis kind of jutting forward a little bit. Maybe not the best posture. And let's have the hands on the knees for this one, resting on the knees. Okay, cool. Sitting on a rock. Oops. All right. And then let's have one where the person's looking at you with the leg crossed, one leg crossed. So we know this leg's in front, right? I mean, this leg's going to look like that. And so to take care of the foreshortening, just connecting it, because, yeah, if we're going to draw these in, I have to keep in mind, cylinders and kind of where everything's going. But at the initial stage, you can just put a line, and then the foreshortening is pretty easy. Maybe, I don't know why he's grabbing his foot. Just do random things. See, that's cool. Now it looks like he's either taking off a shoe or he's got a thorn in his foot or something like that. So kind of doing kind of unexpected things. Don't overthink it. Just start putting stuff down. And then, so let's do the hands again and see now instead of, and then put the body and okay, what is that? So this arm, how would that attach? Maybe like that. And this one would have to be like that. Oh, maybe this guy's winding up for a punch. So I kind of see that didn't feel right. Should I put, yeah, now that feels a little bit better with the head tilted forward. And let's see what I can do if I want to keep the legs from going off the bottom here. How would I have to do that? So this guy's legs would have to be like, one bent like this and one's like he's like flying through the air. Like that. That's kind of cool. See, like that's a pose that I definitely wouldn't have come up with if I had tried to plan it out in advance. So if I want to kind of add to it to see what that would look like, you can kind of build it out a little bit. And cool, it's kind of interesting. I don't know, now I'm seeing that the head looks a little bit too forward maybe. So, you know, I'm not like really trying to get it perfect, but I'm just trying to experiment to see. See, that doesn't look dynamic enough. So what if the head is even lower? I don't know. Cool. That one looks okay. So I'm just kind of messing around, trying to get a better feel for things. One thing I also like to do with, if you want to give the character long hair, you know, if it's a female character, let's say with long hair, let's do something a little more dynamic than just a standing pose like that. So let's try a gesture line. Okay, and have the leg follow that gesture line, and then I don't know. Then this leg feels like it has to be like that. I'm just gonna put the hands out. I don't know what's going on in this pose, but the thing I was gonna say is you can add this teardrop shape for the hair. So if it's just standing up in a regular standing pose, then the teardrop shape might just go like that, like behind, you know. But you can have it blowing in the wind, or you can do different things, you know, or you can start to add different hair. Like one other thing is, let's say this guy's got his hair up in a bun, and you can add the bun, and that indicates the direction of the face too. So I'm wondering why this guy doesn't look like he's shaking his fist. Let's see, I wanna do a shaking the fist pose. Maybe he needs to be more extreme. There, that's looking more like it. And then maybe this arm's out. That's not 100% fist shaky as I'd like. I'm gonna put some gestures like that. But okay, so I'm kind of like getting an idea. Cool. So yeah, so I'm gonna maybe take this just one more step. So let's say you can think of the rib cage. So we've already got the idea of like placing the chest. The rib cage would be the next thing I'd think of. You know, it's gonna have that kind of a shape. So then coming in here, and let's say this guy's like holding a spear, right? So then going down like that, I might put the next thing would be the like belt, like waistline, and then usually like the crotch thing will come down a little lower than the bean shape that we've done. At least that's how it ends up being when I draw it. And then from there, if I want to work on the legs with a little more thickness, to do something like that. Alright, cool. And here you can indicate, oh, the face is looking that way. So let's put a little ear there. So here you've already got a pretty good indication of the basic anatomy that you can work from. So that's one. Let's do a female version. Let's practice that. Okay. So put her hands on her waist maybe. The superhero kind of thing. So the hair is blowing in the breeze. Okay. And then here we've got the rib cage. And instead I kind of have the the breasts for the female instead of the pectorals, so that kind of indicates the direction in the same way as the pecs do. And still have the arms and kind of this curvy line. See, if it's too jaggedy, that's going to look really like chiseled abs and stunning features. You guys, is that a reference that people? I love that movie. I won't say what it is. If you know what movie I'm referencing, let me know in the comments. We can be friends forever. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of a way you can start to add some more anatomy to the figure. So let's actually look like, what does that look like from the front view? Okay. And I just keep triangles here. There's a foot drawing tutorial that I made that I think is a really easy way to draw the foot that I haven't seen elsewhere, which is what's helped me out the most. So if you want to get a little more clarity on how to do a little bit more with the feet, then check that out. But yeah, so basically we have the rib cage, we have a line in the middle that kind of, and you can put a dot for the belly button, and again all this stuff is like the placement and stuff you'll start to get by experience. And then you've got these two obliques that kind of are coming in. This is the iliac crest. Yeah, it'd be good actually I'm definitely going to revisit the muscles of the body and make videos on that, on the anatomy, even going down to the bone structure. I think I'm going to start from the inside out and look at the bones again, and then work my way out, putting the muscles on the bones. So yeah, that's basically the main landmarks I would say are the rib cage, line in the middle for that, and these like hip, crotch indicating muscles, because then that's where the legs just plug right in. So did we do that for the male already? It's okay, let's do it again. Let's have this guy's foot, leg up. So you can put the leg up like that. You could put, like, let's say you do both legs like this, and then just connect them, and that'll already give you the basic foreshortening. So this guy's doing some crazy like Spider-Man jump, right? Okay. I might actually, if I was doing this, I'd put his head forward to balance out the knees, because he's kind of doing something like this. And that's another thing you can do, is try to draw the same pose from different angles to see how well you're understanding what's going on to this one. This is some intense foreshortening. I'm not sure how that would work. But let's say if I was to try. See, does the elbow go forward or back? No, the elbow goes back. Okay, yeah, that kind of works. The other one's hidden behind, right? So anyways, but this one I'm going to put up because we were going to talk about putting the pec in. And that, oh yeah, and then the pelvis, so that doesn't really work if his legs are like that. Let's go ahead and erase that. But yeah, that's another kind of tip. So you got the legs right, and you're saying, okay, line for the abs, and then for the guys, I just kind of put in an underwear shape. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that it's probably thinner or the same width as the chest. So the chest is wider than the hips for the males, but it's opposite for a more feminine figure. And that's pretty much it. You don't have to worry too much about the iliac crest and stuff. You can put it in, but I think this method is easier and works well for the male figures. So let's go ahead and do one more. I know I'm low on battery, but I think I have time for just one more quick page. So let's just rush through these and see what comes out. So these ones, like, see, this is even gonna be, let's go less detail now, you know. Okay, I don't know why these guys have sticks. But yeah, we're going even rougher and less detail than before. We went more detail, and I think it's really cool too. It's good to concentrate on stuff, I think. Like, to see, like, okay, today I'm only going to work on drawing arms. Today I'm only going to work on drawing hands. But for gesture, I actually feel like it's more fun, or it's been more helpful for me to like just go crazy and be like, okay, well, see, this one looks a little bit, I'm kind of making these too short, so let's actually focus on the shape a little bit more. If I put the head in front like that, okay, cool. Well, it looks like he's sulking a little bit. If I put the head behind, then it looks like, I'm looking at it from behind. So that's another thing, drawing the figures from behind. So let's say like this. If I kind of have the shoulders overlapping the head, then you're usually going to get a sense that we're looking at the figure from behind. So I don't like these ones as much, I'm going faster. I think I'm getting a little burnt out. So, oh, let's see, that one's cool. Actually, I like that. So he's looking like that way. From the back, you can kind of have the two lines for the shoulder blades. So if you're doing the back of the figure, I would say the things to indicate are just like a V for the shoulder blades. That connect into the deltoid like that. And that'll kind of, so let's say that one arm's out. And this V opens up more. A little bit. That doesn't look great, but it's not bad. Kind of gives you an idea. If you want to add another little anatomical landmark to indicate that you're looking at the figure from behind. And I think same with the females. Yeah. Okay, cool. Actually, I don't know. I feel like there's something different that I ought to be doing here. Well, alright, I'll figure that out later, but you guys can experiment and see what you think. But yeah, that kind of works. And I feel like the figure's head, so that's something I realized as I was drawing it. Say I'm doing a female figure. If the head's hunched over like that, that makes it look like she's got really big trapezius muscles. Which you could have like a barbaric or a very like buff female. Like I'm thinking of female barbarian because I tend to like to draw fantasy. So that would work like that, right? But in general, feminine figures tend to have like longer necks, which you can indicate by having so if it's still from behind, you could draw figure. And see, this is something I'm actually figuring out right now as I'm experimenting. I haven't really worked on this yet. I was doing these this morning, but I hadn't really worked on behind view figures from behind. And I think the line down the back to indicate the spine, that's another big one. And I'm thinking that, because usually there's a glute, something like this. But yeah, this is me just kind of figuring it out as I go along. But see how the neck goes in front of the head? So that kind of gives the impression that we're looking at the back of the figure, even if you're just looking at this section. Cool. So I think I'm pretty much going to be out of batteries. So I shall end this first episode of Sketch Practice Diaries. I think this will be a fun, more like showing you my process of how I'm learning stuff, and we can learn things together. And I didn't feel like I was ready to really teach what I've learned from this gesture drawing in a methodical way. I kind of have an idea, so I probably will do a gesture drawing video sooner than later, but I wanted to give it a little more work, like see how I figured out some of the things, like going from the figure from behind. So this is kind of like, yeah, my kind of chronicling the kind of practice I would do on my own. And so yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, definitely let me know, and I will share my practicing journey with you guys. And just hoping that you're imbued with just a tiny little molecule more of pencil power. Okay.